Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Digital to Dice podcast. I am Dave.
I'm Ron.
And Ron, episode 124 today.
That's my old college dorm room number.
Yes, it was. Is that when you put the little tassel on the doorknob when you were studying?
I was a virgin until I was 24, Dave. Thanks for playing.
You didn't study till you were 24?
For some college grades, you go, no, I didn't study until I was 24.
Anyway, ways to get a hold of us. Digitaltodice.com is the website. That's over on Spreaker where we park all the shows. The text line, 978-751-DICE, 978-751-3423. Send us a text. I've been texting some people who listen to the show. We've been talking about some of their products there. I think the big one's been the Strat Hockey project I've been watching them do. And they also playing Inside the Crease as well, so it's been fun chatting with them about that.
Oh, okay.
Digitaltodice@yahoo.com is our email. And over on Facebook, the ever-growing group, facebook.com/groups/digital-to-dice. So Ron, how's the weather been up there for you?
Well, we had, same with you, we got a bunch of snow. In fact, it's snowing today. We got about 9 inches, I think, since Thursday. It's pretty.
We got the same. We got dumped on the other. We had 60 degrees, almost 70. It was ridiculous how warm this February got.
It's all fresh snow. We had lost all of our
snow. All the snow was gone. We had nice days out. I'm walking the dog in shorts. It was like, wow, this is great. And then it's like, 9 inches of snow tomorrow, and then it's going to be 15 degrees. So we went from completely bare green grass to now snow everywhere, and it's all frozen, and there's ice on the ground again. So
20 years ago, as a matter of fact. Yes, Monty, door number 4. I'll take the box, damn it. I want the box. Good and plenty. I used to make fun about calling Mother Nature with Alzheimer's and all that. And the last time I did that was on a Saturday morning about 10 minutes of 7. And I thought it was a cat at the time liked to claw on the bed because he was hungry. That particular morning, I thought for about 2 seconds the cat was clawing on the bed. No, it was an earthquake.
Ooh. Wow.
And it was a 5.4 earthquake. There's a pretty good-sized fault in Quebec, and it has nothing to do with the Canadians or the Nordiques. And so our entire city shook.
Oh, wow.
And one of the thing I remember most, besides going, I can't, it's not video, everything going back and forth, was the noise, because we live right on the top of downtown Burlington. The noise of all those buildings shaking.
Oh, jeepers, yeah.
That's what's, you kind of realize that the rock and roll is going to stop, but it's that noise that stuck with you. And so after saying that and then having the earthquake, I love you, Mother Nature, but I hear what you're saying.
All right, I know. Let's see. Today we're going to talk about game complexity. It's something we started chatting about right before we did the show. He says, well, I think let's talk about game complexity as far as, kind of going from basic to advanced to super advanced or master or whatever you want to call it, adding more complexity to the game. So that's going to be our topic today. But before that, I'm trying to think. Oh, yes, we already talked about the weather, right? We already did that, right?
Yes, we did. It's still snowing.
It's still cold. When it's 68 degrees in February, it's like, Mother Nature, go home, you're drunk.
Yeah. See, those jokes you can make, but we don't talk about brain functions yet.
Yeah, no, we don't do that. But, yeah. All right, so what do you say we get into what we're playing?
Okay.
All righty, take it away.
All right, well, let's see. Been playing, obviously, my 85 replay in Action PC Baseball. We've now dipping into June. We've now finished the month of May. So we're a quarter of the way through the season. And,
now, when you play that, are you playing a game of the week or are you playing a game of the day? How are you handling that?
Well, in an ideal world... it's 3 games a week. It would be best matchup on a Wednesday night, day game on a Saturday, so the traditional NBC game of the week, and then I do a Friday game, and that could be any game that I'm not doing on Saturday. So especially by the mid 80s, there were, good matchups on Saturday nights. The Braves would play on Saturday night. The Mets would play on Saturday night when they weren't on NBC. And so you just try to do that. And sometimes you get really lucky. My 1000th video for Retro Sports Network, which I knew was coming up, but I didn't plan this that way, was Fernando Valenzuela against Dwight Gooden.
Oh, nice.
And so it was the Mets and the Dodgers from Shea. And I had a triple play in that game.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That was the triple play game. It's like you couldn't have planned that any better. And then sometimes you get Al Nipper versus the corpse of Dick Ruthven, which somehow somebody I know is a big Dick Ruthven fan. And so when I said that, I was called a choice name or three. So you just never know. And so I try to go 2 or 3 weeks out to pick games. But eventually, because it's a stream and not actually, you're not sending people on that, you can just pull them. So what I'll do is for a couple of those games, I'll just count combined wins for both teams. And sometimes I just go with the games that has the most combined wins. You're obviously trying to cherry pick to see, this isn't a single team replay of what you think the best matchups are going to be. If we start to lose real life baseball, then we'll go daily. We'll go 5 days a week, and we'll go 1 day at a time. So it'll be game of the day. But ideally, it's 3 games a week. That leaves it that's a 78 game scheduled replay. Throw in some holiday doubleheaders and some September extras, and it's probably about 90, 95 before we're said and done. But again, people seem to enjoy it and all that. What else have I been playing? My 75-76 Islanders are no longer on the cusp of missing the playoffs. We've only lost once in 1976, the calendar year 1976, and I'm now February 8th. We're 8-1-4, I think, since Christmas. And so we are staring a first-round series against the New York Rangers right in the face. And then, lo and behold, I just played a game at MSG with them against the Rangers, and the Islanders not only won 5-0, sending Dunk Wilson, to a psychiatrist, but Bert Marshall, who I think had 10 assists or 12 assists all year, had a hat trick of assists in that game.
Oh, nice.
I mean, that's just absolutely crazy. And a video I got to do later today, my 77 Red Sox have reached halfway. Pretty much. And we're 3 games behind the Yankees and just were stunned. We took 3 out of 4 in Detroit, but we just got smoked by Baltimore at home. Man, their pitching is good. But the combination of Jim Palmer, Mike Flanagan, and your buddy Rudy May, I think held me to 5 runs over the weekend. This is a team that scores 6 runs.
I like every baseball player named Rudy.
You knew it was going to happen. They're at least pitching better, so it's coming back around.
Who was the guy that played for the A's in the early 70s? Was that Rudy May? Joe Rudy. Joe Rudy.
Joe Rudy.
Yeah, any Rudy is great for me.
So I got a video that I got to make about that because we're halfway, and so that's pretty much what I've been playing.
Let me see. I've been on a huge baseball safari, I'm going to call it.
Yes, you have. I have played more hockey than you.
This is weird. We're in the middle of hockey season.
And I've played more hockey than you.
And the All-Star game and the NHL and the whole bit. And I just don't know why, but all of a sudden, ever since the Super Bowl, after I played all those football games, I just been playing baseball. I've been playing a lot of the APA baseball, the 1980 season that I have, and I've been playing that and using PC Replay Baseball to keep my stats in that. And I just started from game 1 and just been playing. I have no idea where that's going to go. I'm just enjoying it, and I'm learning the game, and I'm getting pretty good at APA Basic, and I haven't touched the Master. I probably won't, but that'll be the discussion for today as we get into game complexity. I play a little bit more Pocket Pennant Run, another baseball game. And you know what the thing is, Ron? This dice tray that I got
Oh, I love it.
that Daniel Forcier built for me. And
I love the new video board upgrade, by the way.
Did you see it?
Nice.
Yeah, I'm sitting there and I was like, man, I should somehow get the video scoreboard going. And so I just took out my my old phone and I put on something. I think it was the hockey game, actually. I just stuck it in center field, and it looked like I had a video scoreboard. It come up pretty good. I did a little video. It's kind of neat.
You're going to make Daniel work harder for that now, because
I know. I tagged him in that. So now he's going to have to come up with some kind of a modification where you can slide a phone in there and have it.
I loved it. I thought that was great.
It's so much fun what you can do with these things. I mean, he customized my game board here, and I'm rolling dice all over the place, whether it's Pocket Pen and Run, whether it's Appa or Strat, and it fits so nice in the corner of my table. It's not too small, it's not too big. I feel like I can roll dice. The dice bounce around. They never leave, by the way. I don't think I've had one leave the yard, so to speak.
They get to bounce pretty hard because that lip is, well, the stadium is pretty high.
Yeah, it doesn't bounce out. I mean, maybe one time I might have had one. It's really hard, compared to my dice tower where they're always coming out. So I am enjoying rolling dice in this baseball park that I have here, and that's probably why I'm playing a ton of baseball, because it's the new thing. That park is so new.
You tried out the new hockey one?
No, I'm trying to figure out what game I can roll for hockey. I mean, maybe shootout. I could play the shootout dice if I wanted to.
Yeah, because you could put the shootout cards right
in the thing. Yeah, I could put it right in there and roll the dice in there. But I'm trying to think what I have. I mean, the only games I have that could roll dice would be, well, I could do it for Appa if I set it up.
Strat, don't you have In the Crease for a couple seasons of that?
Yeah, but that's all fax. It's all
it's all fax.
Yeah,
that's right.
Hockey Blast, I suppose I could do too, but there's not a computer game that I can roll dice for. You know what I mean? In the hockey one, so I haven't broke out the hockey one yet. I might have to see about getting a football one, but most of the football I do, well, second season's dice, so I could get one for football. A couple of people were kidding around because I've been playing a lot of the baseball. A couple of people said, when are you going to play the Winter Classic in the baseball stadium? So that I could do.
There you go. You just put the hockey thing inside the baseball. Like, we're going to do a little John Madden here. You put the boneless duck inside you put the hockey tray on the football field in the baseball stadium.
I don't think it would fit. I think it'd be a little bit big. It'd be a little bit big, but I could maybe do it for some fun or something like that. But anyway, yeah, so I've been playing a ton of that. I did finally pick up Strat PC Baseball 2022.
Yeah, the new one came out
a couple weeks ago.
Well, yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And I got it with 1977 because I play 1980 everywhere. So I'm like, let me get something a little bit different. I have the 77 cards for Strat, so I wanted to get something with the cards in case I wanted to reference them. So I've been playing a little bit of 77 baseball, just kicking the tires with that. And then I finally picked up 86, the new season that come out, so I could replay all the Roger Clemens games in Strat. Mm-hmm. And
Clemens is sending you a cease and desist letter, by the way.
Yeah, my dice rolling has not been good for Raj. I tell you, the Rockets hasn't blasted off yet.
I said something about your dice last night, and someone was quite crude.
Yeah, you were dissing my dice, and so yes,
I will continue as the chairman of the Roger Clemens 1986 fan club. I will definitely diss those dice.
yeah, they haven't been kind to him, but I watched a lot of videos on this Strat PC Baseball, and everything about it said I'm not going to enjoy it because I'm a very casual baseball guy, and this looks like it's going to be something for the hardcore peeps. And I never got it. And even when it went on sale, what was it, like $20 or $30 last fall?
Around July 4th, they'll put it on sale.
No, but it was right around Black Friday or Christmas, and I remember.
Oh, that's right.
And you said, hang on, the new one's coming out in a couple of months, and I was like, well, I'd like to try this for this price because I don't think I'm going to like it. But I waited. I got the new one, so I don't know what the difference between the new one and the old ones are, aside from the new season. So this is my first foray into Strat PC Baseball.
Right. Well,
I don't
know that DeGrom card is the best pure porn since Farrah Fawcett appeared on the poster. I mean, that Jacob DeGrom card for Stratomatic fans and for 2022 or 2021 is just, oh my gosh, that is, it's every ribeye. It's your favorite steak cooked your favorite way.
Oh, nice.
Okay, that sort of thing. The reason why I kind of told you to hang on was because A, the new one was coming out, and B, you are such a visual gamer.
Mm-hmm.
You really are such a visual gamer, and Stratomatic does not lead itself well to being, you can't mod it like you can OTP or Action PC. I mean, and that it is very much. Yeah, it's, all the Strat games, as far as I'm concerned, are very much driven to those who play the actual card and dice games themselves, as opposed to just picking them up to play straight computer games. And so that's why I thought you wouldn't enjoy it.
So I was going to pick up the cheaper version, but then I waited, and then, I picked up some extra refereeing jobs. So it's like, okay, I have some money now, I can buy it. So I picked it up with 77 and kicked it around. And again, Strat does things their own way. That's the best way I can describe it, is that, if you've played any other PC games, it's not going to help you play a Strat game because they just do things so differently. But having played the hockey, the basketball, and a little bit of the football, I had an idea what I was doing, and then I asked a lot of questions and watched some videos, and to a point where I was able to manipulate the all the boxes in the field exactly where I wanted to put them, and pretty much size them where I wanted them. So I customized the look of it, which was huge. And I started rolling, and I like how you can just play advanced if you like, and I'm getting to super advanced a little bit. And right now I'm just letting the game play it out, and I'm rolling the dice, entering the dice, and I'm following along with the rule book and the charts, because the super advanced is very complex,
there's a lot of steps to it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in our show topic there. But the game handles it all for me. I am surprised how much I really like this baseball game. I really am. As just a casual guy who's just playing some nostalgia right now, it is really fun. And I think that rolling your own dice is a huge chunk of that.
Yeah,
I really do
feel like you have some control over.
I feel like I can play a cards and dice game and not have to worry about setting it up on my table and finding out who's what. I can play an as-plays lineup. I can play a World Series. I can play an all-star game. I can roll the dice, and the computer does all the heavy lifting for me. It'll even simulate games if I don't want to play them. And the stat package is phenomenal. Not that other games I'm playing do not have good stat packages, but for some reason this jumps out at me as anything you wanted to find out in this game, it is in there. It really is.
And it will also tell you how it rolled for each and every batter.
Yeah, it just does such a good job. And I'm curious now, if I go back to the hockey, basketball, or football for Strat PC, if I'll have a different appreciation for it. Maybe I can go back and find some things that I wasn't looking for before. And I know the baseball is the king of them all, so I'm not expecting it to be as good as the baseball. But I'm just wondering if I go back now, if I'll have a different view of the other games.
I spend a fair amount of times in the forum over at Delphi. I enjoy reading other people's replays, especially if they take the time to actually do something besides post a box score. And someone posted, and I think it really doesn't matter what the project was. It was over on the Strat forum on Delphi. So doing some sort of tournament. And instead of just posting the summary of the game, he was posting highlights from each period. So every time that you take the puck away with intimidation or a goalie rating save, a great save, or a breakaway, it would tell you that. And I went, oh, Gardner, this is incredible. And so it's like, okay, because I wasn't going to buy the new edition. I mean, do I really, really want to replay the Canadians getting beat up by the Lightning in the Stanley Cup? No, I really don't. By the way, Marty St. Louis won 5 straight games for Montreal. I just want that in the record.
Good for them, yeah.
Yeah, well, it can't be any worse.
Right.
And so I looked around, and again, I bought 1920. So the version they released after the 20 season. It wasn't the season I really wanted for the last time around. And if they redo 81, 82, that's a must buy for me. But anyway, and so I went looking in the reports, and lo and behold, there was a game highlights report. It's like, oh, and again, that just gave me, and I've owned several versions of the hockey PC game. and didn't know it was there. And so, yes, you find stuff, new stuff all the time.
Yeah, I'm a big stat guy. I'm a big numbers guy. Because I run. That's what I do. Is I run leagues and I do all the stats, and I like looking at the stats and seeing what they are. But so it's really fun with the Strat Baseball as well as the other games. And again, every computer game keeps really good stats. But I just found that this one here, the more I dig, the more I keep. It's like I say, it's like finding gold. You keep digging, you find more gold, and it's just like, wow, this is. I'm really impressed. Let's just say I'm really impressed with the Strat Baseball, despite the heat it takes for the antiquated looks, which it's deservedly so. It's a very older looking game, but it works. And as far as dressing it up, I think because I'm playing cards and dice, that's what I'm playing this for. I'm not playing this for the visuals, but I've tweaked it enough where I can see the pitch, I can see where the ball's being hit. I have it going really fast because I don't need I just want to have an idea what's happening. So I got a little bit of visuals going on, but for the most part, I'm trying to follow the dice rolls, see what the result is, and then before I hit enter, I want to say, okay, did I get this right? So I'm solving the puzzle, man. We talked about that. So that's what I'm doing with this game right now because Super Advanced is very, very busy, and we'll talk about that.
What you've done is you've made the game work for you.
And absolutely, yeah.
And that's so important.
I do wish you could play basic on it because when I play Cards and Dice Strat, I do like the basic game. That would be a nice option to have.
I think in the other games, the only way you can play is Super Advanced.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you can play Advanced on the Strat PC because everything else forces you to play.
Yeah, go all the way. Yep, everything. Yep.
And again, the computer's doing the bookkeeping. Here's my thing on the layout. I'm looking for a card and dice experience, regardless of which of the four games that I'm playing. The football one I know the least about. But when I'm playing the basketball, and by the way, I forgot to mention in my part of what I was playing that your silly, stupid Atlanta Hawks beat me.
What is it about the Hawks?
I have no idea. I absolutely have no idea. I think we're 17-3 through the first 20 games, but the next game is at home versus Portland. And for those of you who are obsessed with the 85-86 Celtics, that was their only home loss, regular or postseason, was that game. So I'm kind of hesitant to play it. But you just get used to it, and it may not be pretty. It may not be what you want to dream about at night, but it gets the job done. And it works. Mm-hmm. And so I'm more willing to forget. I mean, would I love to see Richard Hanna doll up those four games? Oh,
absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I would. Yeah.
But when it comes down to when I'm going to take my hour of gaming time to play one of the four, I find that after it's set up and ready to go, I'm just using my imagination anyway. You're just taking me there.
Yeah. So. And I like the fact that, in the baseball, you can roll the dice, so it's like a hybrid. It's like you can have your cards on the table, you can have your charts, and you can log everything in. You can let the computer do it.
Too, right?
Yes, you can roll dice in football. Yeah,
I don't think you can. I know you can't in hockey.
They need to add that because that's just so much fun. It really is.
And that would be easy to do in hockey.
There's not a lot of dice rolling. There's a lot of fact flipping in that.
The fact flipping, but you could roll for the shots.
Roll for shots, the saves, the penalties.
And you can roll the D20 and the
penetration.
Yeah. Anyway, yes.
So yeah, I am
glad you're enjoying it.
I am. I didn't think I would. Again, I watched a lot of videos on it, and I just didn't think I'd like it. But once I get into it, and I got it on my desktop, and I made it my own, and I tweaked the settings, as far as how fast the play-by-play goes, how fast the ball goes, what I want to see, what I don't want to see. I really am enjoying it, and I'm having a lot of fun learning how to play, the advanced and super advanced of the Strat Baseball. So I've been on a baseball kick between the app of the Strat and the Pocket Pennant Run right now is mostly what I've been playing since all those football games I played at the Super Bowl.
If you're going back to the sports book and you had money on me playing more hockey than Gardner.
Right? Yeah. You know what? And I always knew one day, once I hit the baseball, got the baseball fever, it would be, there's so many baseball games. That's
Oh,
the
yes.
thing is I get a lot of hockey games and I play them all, and I got a bunch of football games and a little bit of basketball. But the baseball, there is so many baseball games out there that I knew that for once I went down that rabbit hole, holy cow, there'd be 100 games I could play. And I'm still looking to play others, but right now I'm playing what I got there and the whole bit, and it's been fun. So that's about it. That's about what I've been playing. A lot of that stuff there. So, all right. So should we slide on over to the topic of the day?
Yes.
So what kind of triggered the topic of game complexity is, before the show and even last night, we've been talking about how I've been learning how to play super advanced baseball with Strat using the Strat PC baseball program. And I've played the basic on my tabletop. I think I played one game of advanced Strat baseball with the cards and dice.
I helped you walk you through a few innings.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I found that the jump from basic to advanced was pretty significant, and then the advanced to super advanced was even twofold as significant.
Yes.
Compared to hockey, where I played a couple of games of basic hockey, and when I jumped into advanced strat hockey, the jump was minimal. But the amount of game that you got beyond the basic was huge compared to the jump in complexity of the game. And then
use more of the same. It's the same card for all three.
You just use more of it.
Right, and in the baseball, the basics on one side, and the advanced and the super advanced is on the other.
Yeah. And it's the
just
same with basketball too. Like I'll play strat basketball basic with cards and dice, and I haven't in a while, but I did enjoy that. The advanced on the other side, it really gets into the game. So I wanted to talk about that today, is game complexity, because I can see both sides of it. Now that I've been playing a lot of baseball, and I like my APA baseball because it's, the basic version is pretty basic. Now they've added a couple of small, I guess you'd call them advanced rules in there, where you can really look at the individual fielder if you want.
There's so many house rules for
yeah, but I mean, even within the game itself, in the instructions, there's a few things you can do beyond just the basic to really make it kind of an advanced type of game. Not a lot, but a few things. But then when you get in, and a lot of people say they love that about APA, how even the rare plays are kind of baked into that game, really, because I've had a few rare plays come up, and there's no rare play chart in APA Basic, and I've been like, wow, how did they do that? But they did, and it's been very fun. And then I watched some people play the master game, because I was going to get the master rules when I ordered the new baseball book in the 1980 season for APA, and I saw people playing it, and I was like, wow. This is quite the jump from rolling the dice, looking at the card, and looking at the chart. Is you roll the dice, you go to one chart, you go to the card, you make all these adjustments before you get to the final outcome. And it went from just a few seconds to determining a roll of the dice to 15, 20, 30, 40 seconds sometimes to figure out what you're going to do with that dice roll.
If you haven't figured and don't,
Yeah, and I'm looking at that, and I was like, wow, that is pretty complex. And it's like, am I really going to get a lot of different results out of that for that kind of complexity? And then I look at strat, like basic, and it's very basic. And then I look at the super advanced, and I'm trying to follow along on the computer. And I got the computer doing everything in Strat PC Baseball. And I'm looking at the rule book, and I'm getting my charts, and I'm following along as the computer's doing it. But every now and then I get something wrong, and I don't know why. And the people who have been watching me stream the Strat PC Baseball have been fantastic.
Yes.
Helping me out. Because I'll be like, okay, guys, I thought this was going to be a ground ball to short, and it's a single. What did I miss? Okay, because I'm wrong. What did I miss here? I didn't solve this puzzle. What did I miss? And then they'll explain, hey, this, it's that. But there's so many things that you need to remember. And things like the normal versus weak batter. It's just one of many things. It's like, why wasn't that this? He's a W hitter. Oh, so that's where when you start adding to the complexity of a game, it takes away the home run from the weak hitter, which adds to the realism, but it adds to the complexity.
Because you don't want because in basic strat, there's no differentiation. So there's going to be, let's say for Jerry Remy, who never hit that many home runs, there's not going to be a home run on his card, but every time he faces, let's say, a Dick Ruthven, he's gonna if there's a homer on the card, that's an automatic home run. And I mean, Dwayne Kuiper, who was one of the voices of the San Francisco Giants, had 2 career home runs with several thousand real life at bats. He just, Punch and Judy doesn't describe the way he was as a power hitter. And so one of the things about, people ask about how accurate a game is, you don't want someone with 2 career homers slugging 5 in a season, because that just kind of kills the illusion and the immersion factor of it. And so some of that, especially in Strat's case, was to make the game, to correct an error.
Yeah, and I think that when you start adding complexity to the game, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Is you go from kind of a generic rating, and you start whittling that rating down a little bit into different compartments. So, I mean, this guy that's whatever rating he is, well, you might split that rating now to, defense in running and hitting. So, I mean, I'm just kind of using examples here. So right. it just breaks it down a little bit. It's almost like when you start adding complexity to a game. Now, this is just from what I've found from playing some of these games, whether it's the baseball, even second season from play, they have a basic mode, and then they have whatever, advanced or master, whatever you want to call it, where they say, in basic mode, ignore all these symbols, ignore like the airplane and the arrow, whatever. There's all these things you can ignore and just play the game. And if you want to play advanced, you can add those things in, which meaning if the guy has this symbol and he fumbles, then it's not a fumble because he doesn't fumble a lot. But in the basic game, a fumble's a fumble. In the advanced game, you look for a fumble check, you see if he has a certain symbol, and that means he hung onto the ball. And the same with a quarterback. He might avoid a sack or an interception if he has a certain symbol, which is in the basic game, a sack is a sack is a sack, interception is an interception. And so you start adding the complexity to the game, but it does kind of round out the gameplay according to the individual player. So there's that balance there. And then you get a game like Pocket Pennant Run, which is a very basic game. I enjoy it immensely. Statistically, it seems to hold up. But then you get people that started making homebrew rules, and they turn that game to such a complex game, some of these people. And nothing wrong with that. Your game, make it the way you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what was a nice, fun, simple game is now like, wow, I can see where you went with this and why you wanted to break it down and do this and do that. But, boy, you've taken a nice, fun, simple game that I can play on the tabletop real quick, and you've really made this quite complex. And I'm wondering what the payoff would be with that. Now that you've made this game more complex, is it going to be a better game, or is it just going to take longer? I mean, so
it depends on what people are looking for, I suppose.
Yeah.
Here, 2nd and 10 is the ultimate. Let's take because football, there's so many variables to football. On the surface, you're thinking, really? But yes, even though there's 1, 2, 3, 6 skill players on offense and that, it's football. It's hard to get football right. And so the predecessor in the 2nd and 10 was 1st and 10. And so what you would do is you had spreadsheets, okay, Excel spreadsheets. And so you would copy one team into one, team 2 in the other. It would do the math behind the scenes, and then you'd print out your score sheet with all the dice ratings and all that were. I remember playing one game of that and taking about 3.5 hours to play. Okay, just because you're trying to make sure it's right and this, that, and the other thing. But they created a football game, 2nd and 10, and does all that dice work behind there. It's all open engine, but it is complex as anything. But that's how they made it work. We'll do all the bookkeeping for you when you just worry about that, and you are playing a step-by-step complex.
Yeah, even the Strat football, I'll play that, and I'll look at the dice rolls on that, and I'll look at the cards, and I'll try to follow that sometimes.
I haven't quite figured that one out.
I'm like, oh boy, it's like I can follow about 75% of that game where it's like, okay, so it's going to be this guy here, and here's what he gets. And I like I say, I like to solve the puzzle. I like to try to guess when I play these games where you roll dice or you see the dice roll and it comes up, okay, this is what I think it's going to be. Am I correct? And when I'm not, well, why am I not correct here? And I'm finding that to be the case with Super Advanced Strat Baseball, where it's there's a lot of things to remember. You know, if it's hit the right field, certain things happen. And you check the player arm, the runner's speed. I'm just learning about the ballpark effects and the triangle thing. And I'm actually kind of enjoying solving this puzzle, much like I did with Inside Pitch, that baseball game where that is really a complex game, and I still you know, I still have a hard time with it, but I started to solve some of that puzzle and okay, this means this and this means that, and this gets adjusted here, this gets adjusted here. So I was following that along and kind of enjoying the challenge, I guess it was, of learning that game. And that's kind of where I am with Super Advanced Baseball. Is there's a challenge to it that there's so much to remember, but
replay, because there's only one level of play in replay, and it's all, you know, replay was designed to be a more advanced version of APBA. It was a cousin. APBA was too basic, and so let's give pitchers some variety, and then eventually, you know, because there are ballpark checks on the card.
Yeah.
And there's fatigue hard-coded into the game. And again, it's because of the way it was designed for the computer, it takes, I would call that a super advanced game, and just kind of spells out what it is that you go through, especially for the baseball game. The basketball game doesn't seem all that complex once you know how to read the cards, but the baseball game, there's a lot to that. And again, the less guesswork I suppose that you have to do as an individual game player, the more fun it is, because at first, you know, it's a tutorial. It's teaching you how to play the game. Replay, all the charts come with the computer down, even with the demo. All the rules and all the charts are all
I think I printed them out so I could actually follow along to see, okay, did I get this right? Did I get this wrong? And I could probably get 80 or 85% of that. I could follow it.
Right. And so, you know, you take the rating off the batter's card, and then you add the pitcher number to it, and then you go to this, and then, you know, I mean, it just kind of teaches you how to go along. And when, you know, if you're daring enough to actually sit and play the game without the computer's help, or that's another one that you can score your own game, so you could go both ways with it because you have all the cards, then yes, you learn how to do a very complex game, complex not being, you know, by just doing and learning. And it's just like learning a new language. You're just, you know, doing what all those do.
And I find sometimes I'm in the mood for a nice, simple game that I can just play, you know, and you think about, you know, APBA Basic, Strat Basic Baseball.
Even the quick play games, you know, the Final Store type games, you can't get much more basic than that. One or two rolls, and you have a result.
Some of them get quite complex with some of the adjustments you got to make in how you adjust, you know, to get your final rating. They can still be very confusing.
Roberto Civini stuff, which brings me to here's the ultimate. You know, you want to, you know, Formula One games. There's two really good ones out there. Civini's Daring Racers, and that is very basic. It's 8 columns, and so you roll. You get your grid set for qualifying, or you go by real life if you want. You have 8 rolls. The race is 8 segments. So it's 160 dice roll. So it's not a quick game, but it's, you know, passing is already in there, and there are some chances for accidents and all that. But you get a very realistic Formula One race and you can see, because it's all cards and dice is all about imagination. We've talked about this 1,000 times. So you can see where a driver had a really good segment and he moves up past 4 drivers or he pulls away from the field. And then there's Anthony's classic F1 game, which pretty much goes down to you roll to see whether the driver drank milk or whiskey before he got in the car. I mean, pit stops are all measured, and rain is a factor, and you can collide on passes. That is a super advanced, complex game where the learning curve is hard, but the rewards are tremendous, and you both they're very different experiences. They're playing the same game, and they're both enjoyable. But one you can probably do. Well, they're about the same amount of time if you think about it, but one is very basic in its understanding. It's compressing all that. It's like, do you buy the bag of Chips Ahoy cookies and get your chocolate chip Toll House cookies that way? Or do you go to the Whole Foods and buy the Dave Gardner semi-sweet chips that are,
Well, you make up a good point there, yeah, because you can play a basic game and it's just like making some scrambled eggs. Put eggs in a bowl and make it. Or you can, if you want to get crazy and you want to start adding spices and then cook the eggs and take them off the flame and stir them and put them back over the flame and then add some more spices. I mean, you can get as crazy as you want with making eggs, or you can say making cookies. Do you buy the bags of Chip Ahoy to get the chips? I mean, your chocolate chip cookies, or do you want to buy all the ingredients and go home and make them from scratch and make a and take all day to make a dozen cookies that you could have had instantly, but they're going to be in most cases so much better than the Chips Ahoy,
right? But again, to go back to Roberto's game, and by the way, I should do the plug. The Beijing Winter Olympics are all there.
Oh, nice. Okay,
I'll be posting that there, so you can So if you're interested in mono bobsledding and all that, that's all there. I mean, it's equally just as much fun to play basic games, and that's not a knock against what Roberto's design, but that's what they're there for, because realistically in a car race, because that's just a good one to break down, we just had Daytona last weekend. You don't want to roll 200 individual lap segments for a race.
Right.
Oh my God, you'd be taking forever to do that. Or do you like car racing enough that you'd want to do 1 lap or 2 lap rolls to go through and have everything? Both games are good representations of how a game should be played, and I could sit down and teach you how to do the Daring Racers in about 20 minutes. You could do that if you wanted to, or we could go through a 100-page rule book and do that. That's not a knock against Anthony's game. I love Anthony's game. I really do. It is probably the most complex sports game that I've ever played. But again, like you, I love solving the puzzle. Or do I just want, do I want to go to Denny's and get the omelet, or do I want to make my own?
Yep. And sometimes, like I say, I am enjoying just a basic game, and I've been reading a lot of things, like I said, on Facebook and Delphi, the whole bit. And some people say the exact same thing as I'm thinking here, where it's like, I enjoy APA Basic or Strat Basic because I can just sit down and I don't have to worry about thinking about a lot of things. Sportsman Z plays a lot of Strat. He says he loves the basic games of Strat, and he gets so much enjoyment out of them, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that's the thing is, again, for some people, and I'm not speaking for him, I'm just speaking for myself now, is I can play a basic game and I can be thoroughly enjoyed, and I can have the time of my life playing that particular game.
Nothing wrong with it.
And I don't need all that complexity to find out if a guy got from first to third on a hit to the outfield, by checking arms and speed and all that other stuff, when the game will just tell me if he got there or not. Sometimes I'm okay with that.
Nothing wrong with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yep, and sometimes, but what's neat though is sometimes, like I'm finding with the Strat Super Advanced, even though I have to ask a lot of questions because I get confused quite a bit on why some things are not what I think they are, because there's different rules to different things. I'm finding that I'm kind of enjoying the fact that I can play basic, I can play advanced, or I can play super, and I like having those options because I am enjoying the complexity of super advanced strat baseball. I really am, even though it's confusing me and there's a lot to think about, and I probably couldn't play that on the tabletop by myself without making a ton of mistakes. So the computer, like I said, does all the heavy lifting and tells you what's going on. And so for me, sometimes if I don't get it right, I try to backwards engineer what happened. Okay, this is what the computer said happened. Why was I wrong? And I go through the rules and I go through the charts and I start flicking through things until I can find out, okay, that's what it did. That's what I was missing. I was missing that part of the puzzle. That's why I solved it wrong. And so sometimes I'm in for a nice basic game and I just want to play it, and it plays fast and I get plenty of enjoyment out of it. And
you like those games that you can just put your feet up and just play them.
And there's other times I'm in the mood for a more in-depth meal and something where it's like I'm not looking to race through this. I'd like to incorporate some more individual ratings in and I don't know if we've already talked about this on the air. I know we talked off the air about how in APA baseball, you have your generic team defense, and it's either column 1, 2, or 3 in the basic edition. However, in the instructions, there's a handful of roles for infield and I think outfield as well. Might just be infield, I forget. But you actually check the individual player rating and you look at a chart. And now, instead of being team defense, it's individual defense. And so if you want to add that kind of complexity to your APA baseball game, that is there. So instead of reading off a column 2, which is a generic team defense, you might hit it to a fielder who's not that good. So why is he benefiting from the team defense if he individually is not that good? So you'll read off of column 3 if that's the worst column. Or you might hit it to the only good player on the field at the time, and you read off the better column for him. But for the rest of the guys, it's a lesser column. That is interesting. In fact, somebody did that with APA hockey, whereas, you have the ODAI. ODAI. I hate that. I still hate that. But it's the overall general team defense, and it's an adjustment that you do when you roll for the other team. You look at the defense, and you might go up or down on the dice roll to give you a shot or take away a shot, whatever. But someone come up with a way of looking at individual players on the ice. So instead of the team defense, you look at the individual player that you're going up against, and then you say, okay, what is his rating? I look at this chart, and this is going to be the adjustment. So instead of the team adjustment, it's an individual adjustment. So that is there in hockey as well as a homebrew rule. I haven't done that yet, just because APA hockey takes me long enough that I really don't need to add any more time to it. But I'm intrigued to try it, because its focus is more on the individual than the team. And so, again, you go from a basic to a more complex game by adding that extra time to look at what his rating is, go to the chart and figure it out instead of just a generic chart. So I like having that option there. So if you really want to get complex in a game, and if you really think that adds to more realism, or it feels more like a baseball or a hockey game or whatever.
Immersion.
Yeah.
I mean, it really comes down to how much immersion do you want, because the basic game of everything
is fine.
Is going to get you where you want to go. Mm-hmm. And for you, for me, I mean, a basic hockey game or a basic basketball game would be the way to go, because these aren't sports that I'm huge fans of, especially when certain teams from Montreal can't win. But on the other hand, if you want to take a deeper dive, it's there. And you can, we all play the game between our ears anyway, even if it's completely 100% on the computer. You're still, and so.
I think for me, when there's a game that offers different levels of complexity / difficulty, and the more you add, the more, quote, realistic it might become, or the more, whatever the word is that I'm looking for, to go from just a kind of a generic roll the dice in a play to we're going to break down that generic roll into 4 different other possibilities depending on who's where and who's what. Again, I like when you can pick and choose the different rules that you want to do. That is key for me. And I go back to, like I say, I'm looking at second season right now here on the floor next to me, where I played that in basic mode, and I saw all the advanced symbols, and it said, just ignore that for your first few games until you want to play advanced. I like that because now it's there if I want to add to the game, if I want to add more time and more complexity and more maybe detail is the word I'm looking for. If I want to add detail to the game, that's
a good word.
Yeah, that complexity is there. If I want to play APBA baseball and I want more detail, I can buy the master game and learn how that goes. Now, again, some people argue that it adds way too much time and the detail you get out of it it's not worth the squeeze, as you say. Some people love it and they can play it really quick. Again, it's up to you. The strat games, again, the hockey is different than the baseball. I find that if you go from a strat basic hockey to strat advanced or super advanced, it's a smaller jump. Baseball, my particular feeling is going from basic to even advanced is a huge jump, and then super advanced, it's a ridiculous jump in complexity. But again, you get the detail because I'm reading the super advanced rules last night, Ron. Right after I get done playing, I'm in bed and I like to chip away at that, and I'm reading the super advanced rules, and I'm like, holy cow, these are so. The detail. If it's 2 outs, it's hit the right field, and the runner has his left shoe is tied too tight. Right. You know what I mean? The detail you get for that play, it's like it was impressive, but it was also quite complex. That it's something else you got to remember.
And yet they're able to do it in a game that comes with 3 6-sided die and a 20-sided die.
Yes. Yep. It is.
I mean, that's the most, and it's random enough that the results come out pretty much.
But I love the games that give you the option of playing a basic game and then sprinkling in some other rules from some of the advanced rules or some of the, some people call it optional rules, if you will. I love games that allow you to do that because sometimes you want a little bit of complexity and you want a little bit of detail, or maybe you want to just selectively, like, I like this. There's a handful of games I play that I'm like, I always use this advanced rule because this adds to my game. But this advanced rule or this advanced option, I'm not a big fan of. It's just going to tie me up. It's going to take time. It's something I don't really care about. And so I don't use that particular rule. And so for me, a game that can offer the ability to play 2 or 3 or 4 different levels of complexity, and maybe you can mix and match what you want, and it doesn't wreck the game, that is my ideal game. Because, again, I don't want to play every master or super advanced rule, but there are some that I really like, and I want to include them. And if I can do that and cherry pick what I like, what do we say? You make the game your own at that point.
There's no wrong way to play.
No, and so that's what I really like about that. So anyway, what is your feedback out there on game complexity? Are you happy with the basic game? Do you go all the way all the time? I hear some people say, I go super max advanced. Every game I play, I use every single rule possible. And what do you enjoy? Do you enjoy, like me, do you enjoy a mix? Do you like, your basic game sprinkled in with a few of the advanced and super advanced and master rules? I mean, what do you enjoy playing out there? We want to hear from you. You've heard from us. We want to hear from you what you enjoy playing when it comes to game complexity. And, Ron, I think there's also a balance there, too. We talk about, if you start getting real complex in a game, what are you getting out of it? If it's going to take longer, it's going to be harder to learn, there's going to be more things to remember. Are you really getting... What's
the reward for...
Yeah, what is the reward for getting more complex in a game? Is it worth it? And I find that some games are, and some games, you're okay playing basic,
Yeah. So, but again, it's always good to experiment to see what you like and what you don't like. And you might be, and as Dave has explained, he was, delightfully surprised that he liked that having the more complex, because I think it just kind of adds to a well-designed game, it just kind of goes with, I know not everyone loves the word flow, to all the steps that make the game more complex. Does it kind of go together? Can you see where the game is trying to get you?
Yeah, you made a good point there, too, because I tried it. I tried super advanced, and it's kind of like when I try new games. Like if I never got this baseball game, I wouldn't have known how much fun I would have playing strat PC baseball, Because, again, I wasn't going to get it, and I took a chance. I was like, boy, I'm glad I got it. And it's the same way with some of these rules. I look at some of these rules, I'm like, oh, man, this is so complex. I'm like the ballpark effect. I never turned it on. For the first handful of games, I don't want to use ballpark effect. I don't want to use it. And now that I started using it, I can't imagine playing without the ballpark effect.
It just makes the big parks play so much bigger, and it makes Fenway just come to absolute life.
But it's the idea that I tried something that I was shying away from, and it's like, boy, that's one I really like. I really do like that. There's some others I'm not a big fan of yet, but if I didn't try it, if I didn't try all these rules, I might not like it, So now I might need to go back to the hockey and now see if I can do super advanced strat hockey, because I do kind of avoid that. I'm still in advanced on the hockey there just because it was kind of difficult, I thought. But I
hate Billy Smith.
Yeah. So I think I might have to do that, is try some of these super advanced rules in some of these games, see what I like. Maybe even in the basketball games I play. I'm always playing the basic mode. Maybe I need to bump it up, try some of these things, and who knows? I might really like it. I might find that I can learn it pretty quick, and it just becomes second nature to the game, like a lot of people do. They play every single rule available, and it's all second nature to them, and it eventually will be.
Right. So. Exactly. The more you get comfortable, and the more whatever you find what your level of involvement wants to be, then things speed up. Mm-hmm. Again, you still kind of looked at me kind of funny when I said, yeah, I can play 3 super advanced games on the computer in about an hour, and sometimes 45 minutes if they're pitching duels, because there's not really any decisions that you have to. You slow down when there's runners on base to see what you're going to do. But if there's nobody on, you just roll, record,
mm-hmm.
There's and whatever. So
all right. So again, we want your feedback on this, on game complexity. Where's your sweet spot with game complexity and the whole reward for playing a lot of detail? So on that note, let's wrap this up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, by the numbers, this has been episode 124 of the Digital to Dice podcast. I'm recording this late February here in 2022 for those of you scoring at home. And ways to get a hold of us, Digital to Dice.
You'd be like scoring in my old dorm room. Is that what you were trying to get to, Gardner?
Studying in the old dorm room.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
DigitalToDice.com is the website. 978-751-DICE is the text line. 978-751-3423. DigitalToDice@yahoo.com is our email, and Facebook.com/groups over on Facebook. Oh, and over on Cafe Press, too. I saw Al, Red Sox fan, doing his chat the other night with his Digital to Dice coffee mug. So if you want some Digital to Dice merchandise, which help to support the show, over at cafepress.com/digital to dice, you will find some of our merchandise there. Let me see. Anything else here? Oh, and we got a couple of emails over on digitaltodice@yahoo.com, and we should have some more guests on the show very soon.
Looking forward to one in particular.
Yeah, talking about a couple different games. Some that one I heard of, one I didn't hear about, or a few I didn't hear about. So will have some more guests on pretty soon as we start lining up for spring of 2022 and summer 2022 as far as our guest lineup goes. But anyway, I am Dave.
I'm Ron.
And we'll talk to everybody later.
Bye-bye.